Good morning and welcome to visit the exhibit at the MAFAC Arts Center. Our exhibit has been a real hit. We have with us today Kat Abbott, who is a painter, and her father-in-law, Dave Meier, who is in Arizona, being a snowbird right now. We had their exhibit reception the day after Christmas in a snowstorm, and one of the biggest crowds we've ever had. So we were very pleased with that. We're going to look around, and I'm going to try to fill in for Dave and show his pottery, and Kat's going to talk about her paintings as we go around the exhibit. We're going to be finishing this exhibit on the 22nd of this month, so that's just a few days left, but we'll have it on the cable, so you will be able to enjoy it. Do you want to introduce your gang here?
Sure, I've brought my kids today. This is Lana, who is 8 months, and Bo Michael, who had just turned 4.
And he's a lot of energy.
He is, yes, very much.
One of the things that I think is so important, Kat has been putting this exhibit together in the middle of having a baby and trying to complete her art projects. So, and some of the things that we wanted to talk about was the changes you made in your style to accommodate new family members.
Right, so I used to do, she's gonna talk too. I used to do primarily all oil paintings on canvas, and with the birth of my children, I decided that a less toxic, more mobile studio would be better. So I started doing works on paper, and that way I can keep everything contained and set up anywhere in my home and put things in a big Tupperware container, keep them away from little fingers. So that was, it's been an interesting change. It's fun. I'm still using some paint, primarily watercolors on paper. And then I also work in colored pencils, ink, paper scraps, and sewing. So I've been really trying to reuse materials, explore a little more depth in my work, and I've enjoyed it, but it's very challenging, and I have to admit I'm still a little bit shy about showing these kind of works, just due to the fact that I haven't exhibited them much.
One of the things I love about it is the detailing, and I hope the camera shows up that detail, because all of the stitching and the different colors and and it's all mixed media. So here's the first one, a little portrait of Laura. Is it Laura or Lana? Lana.
Lana, yeah.
Tell us about that one a little bit.
So this one I did just from studying her, all the times that we spend in her wrap or on my shoulder napping, and she's my little star. So I decided she must have a portrait. I did one of Bo too, that is not in this exhibit, but
that'll be a priceless one as she grows older.
Yes, it's a memory. It's a marking of time and place.
And what's this next one? This is a
So this is one, this is kind of a strange transition, but this is one I actually did about, after I read an article about the level of pollution in our lakes and streams in southwest Minnesota. I exhibited a few pieces at the U of M extension in Lamberton when Mark Seeley from the U of M gave a presentation about climate change and how it might be affecting Minnesota. And that they also talked about the environment, and I wanted to do a few pieces that were demonstrated what we're dealing with. And one of the statements I wanted to make is how I'm actually nervous when I catch a fish, whether or not I should feed it to my kids, and they told me not to eat it when I was pregnant. And so I thought, this is a sad time that we're living in, and I really hope that we can turn things around in terms of water quality. And the article that I read said there was 3 or 4 fishable and swimmable lakes in southwest Minnesota. And I felt that that was very sad.
Yep.
So,
Kat, you might introduce us to Dave a little bit. He took pottery at Southwest State.
he did, yeah. Dave has been working with pottery. His wife, Nancy Gerber Meier, worked at the university, and so Dave would take Monday night classes. If one of your family members works at the college, I believe you get a tuition waiver, and so he got into pottery, loved it, would always take the Monday night course, and then he retired. She retired first, and then Dave retired. So now he's finally built himself a nice studio up at their lake cabin by Battle Lake, Minnesota. So he bought an electric kiln and a used potter wheel and has just been getting into it. So this show is actually a mix of some of the pieces he's done at the SMSU studio and some of the pieces he's done at his own new studio up north.
Primarily in his collection of pots, he uses either red clay, and this is the unfinished red clay, or he uses a white clay. And so we have a mixture of both. I think the glazes on the white clay show up more dramatically. But he likes lots of earth tones and has some very interesting glazes. These 2 pieces right here are birdhouses, which I just love. And they are, I want to show you the bottom because I think he finished these off so nice. He's got a piece of wood in the bottom and a screw over here, a couple screws, and so you could take the bottom out and clean the birdhouse out once a year or how often. But I said most people don't think of that, and then you get a birdhouse and you can't get it cleaned up,
And the birds love his houses too. He has birdhouses all over his lake place and they love it.
Oh, I bet. I bet.
They're great.
So let's go over here and look at another collection of pots. His glazes are real different, and that's what I love about them. We haven't had time to talk a lot about the different ones, but this one I know in particular, the tree over here is wood fired glaze, and so that's a little much more what do I want to say, Kat? Earthy than regular other kinds of glazes.
Right. Yeah, he used wood ash that he burned himself from, I think, a family or friend's
Tree.
So
yeah,
that was
that's real
really
special because of the tree. This vase right here is what we call a frog vase because it has a little metal frog to stick plants or flowers in. And we have a couple of those over in the gift shop too. It's a real unusual piece. It's more like a piece of sculpture than a vase.
great for people who love to do flower arrangements, orchids, or anything.
Yeah. The white piece down here is a collaboration between Kat and Dave. Dave did the pot, basically, and Kat finished the glaze.
It did not turn out as well as I had hoped. It was my first time glazing, and I will do it differently next time.
Well, it's like you never know till you open the kiln.
Well, yeah, exactly.
And so it's always a surprise.
And I'm so used to using so many bright colors together, and so I didn't want to, he had yellow and blue and some iron oxide, and I didn't know what I should mix. And sometimes if you mix the glazes, they'll separate and pull away from each other. And so it'll be interesting to collaborate some more.
Yeah.
But
I took pottery in college, and the professor didn't tell us anything about the glazes.
sure.
So I mixed matte glaze with a glossy. And as soon as the cold air hit it, it cracked all the way down the back of and I just
Right.
loved it. But I learned something definitely about the glazes. Let me show you this. This is just, this is the white glaze. So that's what that looks like. And this whole exhibit is a mixture of the two of them. Some of these are not for sale because he's made them for members of the family. But we have sold quite a few pieces. Kat, you want to show us your elephants?
Sure.
Oh, this piece is a just a big urn vase.
This is one in a series that I've been doing for almost 10 years on elephants. It showcases my new technique, and I primarily have been painting African elephants just because I like their form and I like all there is to learn about the animals and how respectful they are of family and how intelligent they are, and also how they're being poached in Africa. So I figure the more that I can showcase work and the more people can learn, hopefully the more protected they will become.
And this next one is Celebration.
Again, about elephants, and after reading an article in National Geographic, there are some steps being taken to protect their lands and them from poaching.
For a lot of these, Kat, I don't know your symbolism, but they look like they're crying.
Yes.
Or is that just just the fluid coming out
It
from
is.
their eyes?
It's a combination of that, but yes. And part of that for me is I learned that the elephant recognize their dead, and so they travel in family groups, and they go like once a year to essentially a graveyard site, and with their trunks they will feel the bones, and they know who those bones belong to, so they remember that elephant from their family group.
Isn't that amazing?
It's so amazing. They're just beyond crazy. But it's partly that, partly the fluid of the paint, and partly just, I guess, the nature of how there's something so majestic and they're, practically going extinct. And it's just so sad to me that they're such a mystical creature. And so
that's been your theme throughout your career, I think, isn't it?
Right. It has.
This is another large vase of Dave's, and I just think, I think his work is so interesting, and
it's a beautiful piece.
Yes, the pattern's so gorgeous in the colors.
And I thought it was interesting having an exhibit with Dave, who practices a totally different medium, and I was a little bit worried how it would go together, but then you realize there's similarities here in his glazing, the blue glaze dripping down, and then you look here, and then I've got blue paint coming down, and so we've worked completely separate from each other, but there's still elements that relate, and I think the exhibit looks really nice together.
You never know, when you're going to hang one. We always feel like that with the high school art stars, because there are 3 different schools, 3 or 4 different schools, and they never talk to each other, about what they're working on.
Yeah.
And you bring it all together, and it's wonderful. They use they somehow use the same colors, so they all tie together, even though there might be different mediums. Now, these 3 here are oil paintings from your earlier part of your career.
Yes.
Which again, I think are nice and a nice part of the exhibit.
I grew up in Northern California, so this piece is about the tidal pools and also the changing environment and some of the pollution going on in Northern California where I grew up. Hi.
This piece, and again, this piece is, Dave has done a few pieces of cremation urns for people, private request.
Yes.
And so this was a sample of a cremation urn. We have had, over the years, a few people come in and want to buy vases that have lids on them. And so it's nice to think about it in terms of, you know, the number of cremations that people are doing this era, and to have your own personalized one by somebody you might know is really special.
I think it is too.
Again, this is a picture and glasses. We had another artist buy this. This is red clay, and he was concerned about them drinking, his children drinking out of plastic so much. And so he wanted some regular kind of glasses instead of...
the person who bought this was concerned?
Yes. And so again, another person interested in the environment. So he's going to enjoy using that with his children. This is Minnesota Landscape. Another mixed media.
This piece I did again just as a comment to how our agricultural practices can be affecting our waterways and our water systems, and how we could better prevent the ag runoff from getting into our lakes and streams.
Now, these two both, I think, begin to show the tremendous detail in your work. And I don't know if it'll be interesting to see, point out some of the stitching, Kat.
This one doesn't have stitching in it. Let me see, this one does. So the stitching would be these lines here. If you can feel that it's thread, and I've used my sewing machine then to go back and stitch different pieces of paper together, or to go over to add another layer of dimension to the paper.
This includes watercolor as well as you know, patterned paper.
Watercolor, color pencil, paper collage, and thread.
Okay. The face, that's painted?
The face is color pencil on paper.
Oh, wow, okay.
So, but I'm using the color pencils very much like I would use oil paint. So,
Okay. Well, that's what I was going to say.
it's giving me that level of satisfaction in terms of being able to blend.
Yeah.
So it's not quite like doing the oil paintings, but it's hitting the spot somewhat.
Is this typically, with the mixed media, typically the size you've been working with?
Yeah,
Just so they don't get too large?
Right. I start with Bristol board, which is a thick artist paper, and oftentimes I'll get the largest sheet they have and then half it. It's easier for me to contain. It's easier for me to put away.
Yeah.
And it's also easier to frame. It gets to be fairly expensive, you know, to get these framed. And
You sweetie pie. These two are, again, show a lot of the detail and the different layering.
it's been fun because I'm also involving my son Bo in my process now. So I'll have him cut out paper scraps, or I have paper punchers, both star and round, and he will sit there for a really long time, just click, 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 click. He thinks it's the greatest thing.
He loves the noise.
Yeah, and he can help me glue. He loves to use anything glue.
Yeah.
And so he'll work on his own project and then help me with mine, and I try not to have him help too much sometimes, but.
That winter moon really shows the stitching up well. I think it almost looks like leather, doesn't it? I mean, the paper looks more like leather than...
Yeah, that piece probably has the most stitching out of any of them. And I was trying to combine the idea of the snowflakes falling with the moon, and
Yeah.
I got into a universal theme. I think just given everything going on, I got a little disheartened about humanity, so I started moving out to the universe and just realizing that all of us are nothing really but stardust. And, we're all made up of this matter, and the universe goes on forever and continuum, and here we're so worried about the petty things. And
no, you can't have that. These pots down here are, again, some larger vases. Now, some of them, I think Dave gave this black one to your husband, so that one goes home with you when you take.
Might be my brother-in-law's. I'm not
I thought
sure.
that was mine.
Oh, maybe it is.
But whatever.
Yes.
This is another large vase. I love the large vases, but also the smaller pieces as well. And the variety of glazes. I'm again didn't get a chance to talk to Dave about the different kinds of glazes, but this is a pretty pair of. They don't go together necessarily, but they look nice.
I love this one with the
Yes.
heavy texturing. I think that's a beautiful piece, and then the little bit of cobalt that comes through on the top is just gorgeous.
Yeah. That pattern is so so nice. And I love the casserole too. Somebody bought that for a wedding present.
Oh, it's really, really beautiful.
Yeah. You probably haven't even had a chance to look at the pottery much. These are two other pictures, and all the way to the Gulf of Mexico. You have come up with great names for your pieces.
Just again, thinking about how the Mississippi River starts all the way up here and goes all the way down, and everything that we do here affects them all the way down. And so that was, again, one of the environmental commentary pieces I did for the U of M. And this is back again to the more universal theme, a little more lighthearted, yet
Colorful.
colorful.
And you do a lot of faces.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of almost cliche to do these sun and moon faces, but humans have been, folk art has included those since the beginning, and so I thought it's actually pretty neat because we're all human, we all have this shared experience on Earth, but yet we're just this tiny speck in this whole universe. And so I kind of wanted to approach that by knowing that I'm human and knowing that, all of us are, but yet sort of experiencing the universe as a whole and how really we're just pretty insignificant,
I think all of your work has such has such fantasy. Not only do you come through with serious subjects, but they're also fantasy at the same time.
Right.
So that's why it's always fun to see what you're working on. This is another smaller vase of Dave's. He had quite a few pieces, and he's never had an exhibit. He's never really shown his work publicly. So we were just blown away to see all the nice pottery.
I'm really glad that he decided to exhibit.
Yeah.
And
we had so many people come in that have known Dave because of his business, electrical business, and he told me there were 4 generations of electricians in the family. So and your husband is the 4th one, I assume.
Yeah.
So it's amazing people came in and said, I didn't know he did this. And I said, I think there are a lot of people that didn't know he did this because he never talked about it much.
Right, yeah. He's very modest about his work. Yeah.
This is a little blue period for him, evidently. But the blues are gorgeous. And this is the last of your pieces. I just love the colors.
Thank you.
They're very special. And then he's done some pictures, different kinds of pictures. We have some in the gift shop, but those are interesting too. You want to say anything to wrap it up?
Well, thank you for viewing.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate this opportunity that MAFAC has given us for my father and I to show our work and to show it together. It's been a really, really good thing to do. And it felt good because I haven't been exhibiting much with my kids, and I got to share the space with my father-in-law, which means a lot to our family. So I appreciate the opportunity that MAFAC has given us.
Well, we appreciate you willing to put this together in a fairly stressful period.
A little bit. It's been good. I'm
yeah.
getting more sleep now that it's up.
Good, good. And we would encourage you, if you have time to come between now and Friday, we'll be taking the exhibit down early Saturday morning, so we'd encourage you to come visit for a few minutes if you have a chance, and if not, Studio One will be sharing it with the rest of the community. We've had a couple calls and anxious to see it, so thank you, and stop by MAFAC. We're located 109 North 3rd, and we're open Tuesday through Friday, noon to 5:30, and then on Saturday 11 to 3. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.